Okay, so we're right in the middle of that speech, and Henry's talking about how he knows the soldiers, many of the soldiers that he has brought with him, are carry a lot of sins with them, a lot of unrepented sins, a lot of obdurant people, all right, to use one of your wordmaster words. So this part is really interesting. He says, war is his, God's, beetle. Now, I don't know if there's a definition of beetle in your book, but the beetle in society was the person who would he would arrest people and then assign punishments to people. Okay? So he's saying that war itself decides the punishments. If the person lives, then, God isn't bringing his just judgment on him. But if the person dies, that's how they cannot escape justice. So, a war is his beetle, war is his vengeance, so that here men are punished, for before breach of the king's law is now the king's quarrel. Where they feared the death, they have borne life away, and where they would be safe, they perish. Then, if they die unprovided, meaning without being able to confess their sins, no more is the king guilty of their damnation than he was before guilty of those impieties for which they are now visited. Highlight this next line. Every subject's duty is the king's, but every subject's soul is his own. Therefore, should every soldier in the wars do as every sick man in his bed, wash every mote out of his conscience, and dying so, death is to him advantage. Or, not dying, the time was blessedly lost wherein such preparation was gained, and in him that escapes, it were not sin to think that, making God so free an offer, he let him outlive the day to see his greatness, and to teach others how they should prepare. Okay, so, Williams said, oh, yeah, you're right, the king's not to answer for it, you're right, that makes sense. But he's not really willing to let it die. Bates isn't dropping it either, says, I do not desire he should answer for me, and yet I am determined to fight lustily for him. And then Henry says, I myself heard the king say he would not be ransomed. This is William speaking, he said so to make us fight cheerfully. But when our throats are cut, he may be ransomed, and we are never the wiser. If I leave to see it, I will never trust his word after. Well, then you pay him. Okay, so he and Williams is still going after him. Williams not realizing that he's speaking with Henry. All right. Williams says, you pay him then. That's a perilous shot out of an elder gun that a poor and a private displeasure can go against a monarch. You may as well go about to turn the sun to ice with fanning in his face with a peacock's feather. You'll never trust his word after. Come, 'tis a foolish saying. Oh, your reproof is something too round. Now, Henry is saying, you're getting a little above yourself here, Williams. I should be angry with you if the time were convenient. And then Williams says, well, I'm not going to back down from you. See, he doesn't realize he's speaking to Henry. And they're going to set up a little bet. Okay? So let it be a quarrel between us if you live. Henry says, I embrace it. How shall I know thee again? Give me any gage of thine, and I will wear it in my bonnet. Then, if ever thou darest acknowledge it, I will make it my quarrel. Here's my glove. Give me another of thine. There. This will I also wear in my cap. If ever thou come to me and say after tomorrow, this is my glove, by this hand I will take thee a box on the ear. If ever I live to see it, I will challenge it. Okay, so they set up this bet. They exchange gloves. And what they're saying is, if the king doesn't ransom himself, then then the winner, if they see the glove, the other with the glove in their hat, then they can challenge him, they can punish him, they could divvy out whatever sort of punishment they choose. Now that's the part we're not going to read at the end, because obviously Williams does find out, oh my goodness, I made a bet with the king, I didn't even realize this, and really it wasn't a fair thing for Henry to do. But anyway, he does see Williams, and he lets Fluellen take care of it. And Fluellen's old school, so poor Williams has to suck it up there. All right, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys read the rest of that. Okay, after I explain the assignment or that individual project, read the rest of Act 1, and then time remaining, you could work on this project, and then we'll start up with Act 4, Scene 2, next Wednesday, the 23rd, when I'm back with you. All right, so Mr. Bradley handed out to you, I'm sure, or will hand out to you, 2 papers. This one, and then it's questions for Act 4, okay? A couple of which you could already answer, all right? Anyway, this was kind of an outline of what they believe to be Henry's strategy, where things were placed. They do have some numbers on here, all right? And they give you a breakdown of not only how many men, but kind of where they were positioned and that sort of thing. I want you to take the same numbers, but draw up your own battle strategy, okay? I have put up a few examples up on the board in the front there, really fine examples. And really what I'm looking for is that your legend, which is this, it's the guide that says how many men, and it has the little figures, that your legend matches what you have set up, okay? On the real map, the historical map, it shows you the English camp and the French camp, all right? And it also shows you, there's a section that says mud defile. And what happened there historically, I told you, or I may not have told you, but the night before, the French were partying rather significantly. They thought they had it in the bag, and so they were partying all night, and so and because they wanted to fight in the wintertime, it kind of backfired on them because it was raining that day, and that mud defile, what happened was the horses got stuck in the mud and they couldn't move. And so basically the French were sitting ducks. They could not move. And eventually dead horses, dead men began to pile up in that mud defile section and make a wall of the French dead. They some of the infantry, or not infantry, some of the cavalry kind of broke away then, or the infantry broke away from that mud defiled, and really it was the longbow, because those the longbowmen were able to take out that majority and build that kind of wall with bodies and horses. That's what really kept them from losing so many men. Okay, the biggest problem they had was running out of arrows. Okay, and so and then the people who kind of broke away, the Frenchmen who kind of broke away and came around, you know, to try to get the longbowmen. Longbowmen were not trained in battle, so you know, there was some skirmishes there, but the French saw, man, they were getting whooped on, and this wasn't supposed to happen this way, but all the things that they thought were going to work in their favor worked against them. And that's when they began to break the rules. And so we'll talk more about that on the next Wednesday. Anyway, Mr. Bradley's going to give you an 8x14 piece of paper. Take a look at the examples. The legend is most important. Make sure that there are symbols and that you use the numbers that they give you. All right. The French total they say is 30,000, and the English is 6,900. So use those numbers and make your own little battle strategy here. Set up the French, set up the English, and it was kind of a valley sort of situation, very a minor sort of valley. It was kind of like a little football field in between two raised hills there, and over on the one hill you could see Agincourt. I guess today there's barely even a little marker over there. Just it's a little bit raised land on the side, and that's where the Montjoy, he would have been watching there. The family members would have been watching there. They would have been watching the battle. Okay, the messengers, or the people like Montjoy, they would be the ones who would go through and count up the number of dead, kind of keep score, so that the winner at the end could say, okay, let's stop fighting and let's count, let's go get our dead before people like Nym and Pistol steal everything off of them. Okay. Anyway, if you have any questions about it, I think I put the due date on it as the 30th of April. I'm not sure about that. I think I put it as the 30th, so it won't be due next week. It'd be due the week after. All right. So if you have questions, but why don't you finish scene 1, and then you can work on your battle strategy. All right. We'll see you soon. Bye now.